Hello, welcome to 30 Minutes. I'm Rick Anthony. A few weeks ago, I received an email from a friend of mine about an event I had not heard of before and an organization I hadn't heard of before. The event is a conference. It's the Philadelphia Catholic Grandparents Conference being held on Saturday, August the 26th at St. Charles Borromeo Seminary. When I saw the announcement and I read the program, it occurred to me that the program, the messages that were contained in the agenda they put together were as applicable to any grandparent as they are to Catholic grandparents. Because as grandparents, and I'm the grandfather of 15, we're all concerned about the safety and security of our grandchildren, and we're concerned about passing on a legacy, which includes our faith. And the purpose, the mission of the conference and the organization that is sponsoring it is in fact the passing of our faith to our grandchildren, the preservation of our faith. Pope Francis himself has personally underscored the importance of the role of grandparents in the lives of grandchildren. He wrote in an address last year to a group of folks in, I guess it was Rome, "I would like to give you a task. Speak to your grandparents, ask them questions. They have the memory of history, the experience of living, and this is a great gift for you that will help you in your life journey," he said. And I think that's very true. When I contacted the people who are organizing the conference, they put me in touch with a local person, Mary Dressler, who is heading up the volunteer group who will be at the conference on Saturday, August 26th, to welcome and to direct the people who will be attending. Mary Dressler, welcome to 30 Minutes.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Delighted to have you here. We're both Villanovans.
Yes.
We graduated about a year or two outside of one another. So we remember that campus when it was not much more than a lean-to against the chapel, right?
Correct.
It's quite different today. You just came back from Canada, a trip to Canada?
Yes. Several of my friends and I had decided we wanted to go up to Quebec and Montreal. And so we got together with another group and rented a bus and went up there. It was not a religious pilgrimage, but we did want to see St. Anne de Beaupré, and we also wanted to see St. Andre in Montreal. So we had a wonderful time. We came home last week, and Montreal was beautiful. And St. Andre's pilgrimage, you have to go up all those steps.
Yes.
Well, we didn't have to do that because we were 80, so we went in the back door. But it was awesome because there were so many people there. And Brother St. Andre was a remarkable man. He lived to be 91. And from there we went to St. Anne de Beaupré, which is in Quebec. And it's on the St. Lawrence. It's magnificent. And this is the feast today of St. Anne and St. Joachim. So I think this is really very interesting. And so we went up there again, and they gave us a tour of the basilica. It's magnificent. It really is. And so then we saw several other basilicas, and then we came back home. Yes.
How did you get involved in the conference, the Catholic Grandparents Conference?
Through the back door. What happened was one afternoon, I volunteer in the soup kitchen, and I came in from work and I kind of passed out on the sofa and I had the TV on. EWTN was interviewing a group of grandparents. I kind of sat there and I'm looking out thinking, this sounds interesting to me. I'm a grandmother of 6. So I was able to get their website and I went on to find out how I could contact them. Then I got a phone number and I was contacting somebody in either Texas or Virginia. And I called several times on several different weeks, and finally I got somebody who called me back. And it was the woman who founded it, Catherine Wiley. Yes. And she called me and she said, "I understand you're interested." And I said, "Well, I really am." And she said, "This is interesting because we're coming to Philadelphia in 2 weeks to the cathedral to talk about this and having a conference. Would you like to meet us?" And I said, "Sure." But I was not a member. I didn't know anything about it. But I went down and I took a friend of mine because we wanted to take notes to make sure we understood what was happening here. And Catherine Wiley talked about how she had been in Philadelphia with the Pope 2 years previously. And she wanted Philadelphia to be the first city where there would be a conference in the United States with her group.
So this is the inaugural conference?
This is the inaugural conference, yes.
And the day's program, can you quickly go through the day's program? It is full day.
It's a full day. We're going to start at 8:30. We would hope that you would like to sign up online, which will make it easier, but we'll do also some sign-ups in person. And then we're going to follow by Catherine giving us a greeting. And then we're going to go along with what our day is going to be like. Registration from 8:30 to 9:30. Then Catherine will welcome us. Then we'll have the keynote address by the EWN team of Jim and Joy, okay? And then we'll have a break to see vendor wares, like, holy cards, books, that kinds of thing. And then we'll have group discussions where people will break up into groups of, probably groups of 20 or 30, because we're hoping for 200 people. Then a brown bag lunch, then a keynote speech by Catherine, followed by how to become a member, followed by another discussion, followed by prayer in chapel and Holy Mass. So it's a full day.
It is a full day.
Yeah.
Who is Catherine, and what's her story? It's an interesting story from what I saw on the internet.
Well, I met her for the very first time down at the Archdiocese, and she's an amazing woman. First of all, she's 70. She looks about 40.
She's Irish.
Said that right. Secondly, she's charismatic. Once she gets you, you just have to listen to what she has to say. She started this in a place called Wellingham, I think, Walsingham, England. There's a site there which is a pilgrimage site, and she lives in England now, so she apparently went there for some kind of a pilgrimage, and she got the idea that she was inspired to have a tribute to our Blessed Mother's parents, St. Anne and St. Joachim. So this is how it started. It started in 2002. And at first she was just recruiting people from Ireland, where she's from, and from England, where she was living. And then she went to Rome, and she met with Pope Benedict, and he was enthusiastic, and he wrote a prayer for her. And so then she came back to Ireland. She now has 10,000 people in Ireland who are members of this. Then when the Pope came to Philadelphia, she came over and she was able to give a speech here. She loved our city so much that this is why she's coming back now.
And the association, is it international?
Yes, it is.
Catholic Grandparents Association?
Yeah, so it's in Ireland, it's in England. She has a group in Texas. She has another group in Virginia. I think she's also in Australia. But that's as far as I can go with.
And these are chapters?
Yes. Now we do not have a chapter yet.
In Philadelphia? In
Philadelphia. So that would be our next goal after this, yes.
And there is a membership fee for the association?
Oh, it's nominal. It's $20 a year. I mean, yeah.
And there is a charge for the conference on August the 26th?
Yes. It's $35 per person, including a box lunch. And if it's two people, it's $65.
The breakout groups.
Very interesting.
Can you give us a sense of what the topics are going to
I can.
include?
Yes, I can. Okay. Now, the breakup groups are going to be run by people from different countries and from different states. And some of them are things like our biblical mandate. And
as grandparents.
As grandparents. The importance of grandparenting to the church, to the family, and to society. Praying for and with our grandchildren and passing on the tradition of prayer from our different backgrounds and building up the domestic church.
The one that intrigued me was grandparenting in a secular society.
Yes.
That's got to be the toughest one.
I think that's why I didn't include it, but you did. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, we both live it.
Yes.
With our grandkids.
Exactly. That's very true. We do. And so what we're going to do is hopefully people will be able to sign up before the start of the conference because we do have rooms on the second floor for each of the discussions. And I have a feeling some of them are going to be very crowded and some of them are not going to be more sparsely populated.
And you're expecting about 250 people? Or you can accommodate 250 people?
Well, no, we can only accommodate really 220 because we're going to be in Vianney Hall on the grounds of St. Charles, which, so their conference room holds about 220.
And plenty of parking?
Yes, and also handicap parking. And there are several of their nurses, so we'll be able to help people in and out.
Okay, this is being co-sponsored by the Philadelphia Archdiocese, is that correct? Or
Yes.
at least they've lent their name to it.
Well, no, they are sponsoring it, yes, and all of the all 220 parishes have been notified. I think about 2 weeks ago. So this is why we're hoping that we can promote this, and more people will be attentive to the fact that it's coming here.
Do you have any idea what reaction, what response Catherine Wiley has received since she started the organization, the association, in 2002? You said there are 10,000 in Ireland. But if there are 73 million or thereabouts grandparents in this country,
Right.
that's a huge audience, huge market.
Well, as I explained to you, she's charismatic. You will see her that day. Once she starts talking, you're mesmerized. And she has such an impact on you, on the importance, because what she says about us as grandparents is, this is your vocation, which really startled me. And she said, and this is what you're going to probably do for the rest of your life. Now, I don't know about you, but you're not that much younger than I am. I'm 81, so. But it's important that we get the message out, because we have to transmit the faith to our grandchildren. Something got lost in the process.
And does that literally mean the Catholic faith, or does it mean Christian faith?
Christian faith, believe in God.
Yes.
Yes. And the commandments.
Yes.
Yes.
The basics that
basic,
were
yeah.
in the catechism
Exactly.
100 years ago. Yes.
Right.
Are they still using the Baltimore Catechism?
No, I do not think they are.
No,
I taught
no.
CCD at my parish, and we were not using.
You're not using it?
No, we're not.
I probably have one back in my trunk someplace.
Well, hang
Like,
on to it.
the tools that the association is using on a worldwide basis now, again, from the website, include a resource pack for grandparents. I'd love to see that.
Right. Well, I only have some pieces of it. There was a book, I gave it away though. It was about grandparenting, and it was different scenarios.
Okay. Isn't there a chicken soup book for grandparents?
Well, this is not it.
Yeah, I know it isn't, but I believe there's a chicken soup book for
Right.
almost everything else.
Right.
But I think there's one for grandparents as well.
Yes. And some things I learned when I was doing some research before I came here was that, of course, there is a Grandparents' Day in the United States.
September...
Right after Labor Day,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
It's around my birthday. It's September something or other.
Yeah, so that's something.
And that's celebrated in the schools, according to the website.
Yes.
Programs that are put on in the schools for grandparents.
Yes, and grandparents can go in, so that's good.
And there's a newsletter.
Yes.
I haven't seen the newsletter. Is it monthly?
There is a
weekly?
monthly, and you can get it online.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
of course there's the website.
Yeah.
And I would expect there are a number of books and videos and other kinds of things that are available to grandparents. But from what you've experienced yourself, other than the tools, what else is the association doing to create a better bond between grandparents and their grandchildren? And I assume what they're suggesting is get them early.
Yes.
Get involved with your grandkids early.
Yeah, and I took some notes because I went to a
in
conference.
spite of your children's objections.
Right. I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah, here they go. I took some notes, and some of the things they talk about is you get your grandkids when they're really small, and you start passing on the prayers, the traditions. And, little kids, little prayers. But the whole idea is to get them used to this. And then as they get older, maybe you can do some scripture with them. And there is scripture about grandparents. I bet you didn't know that.
No, I didn't.
Yes, okay. We have several things. Some scripture is from Proverbs 17, coming to age. And your children's children are involved in that. Another one is the Gospel of St. James talks about grandparents, specifically Anne and Joachim, who are celebrated today. Then we have John Paul II, who said that the elderly, especially in family, promote the continuity of the generations. The elderly are the bridge gap. And that's why I think grandparenting is so important, because today we're in transition. Our kids are all over. I have two grandkids who were in Japan for 2 years.
Yeah?
Yeah, yes. My son and his wife are over there on business. So the thing is that, they're not next door.
Yes.
You know, and
Yeah.
I think that's problematic.
How do you get them to go to Mass, Mary?
Oh, well, my secret is I have everybody down the seashore for a couple of weeks. And my rule is, if you want to come to Nana's house, you have to go to Mass on Sunday. And that's it. It works. It works. It works. And I think the whole idea is, if they see consistency with you
Yes.
as a grandparent, even though the parents may not be doing everything, it sticks with them. Because my grandson, who's 22, just did an oral history on me.
That's great, and there should be more of that. I know of other programs like it
Yeah,
to try to capture the wisdom and the life experience
exactly right.
of the generation that we'll never see again.
That's exactly right. So and really, and I had to do my homework before he started this, because he said, Nana, I want you to do X, Y, and Z. And I go, all right, Alex, I have to do, He said, come on, we're going to do this because we're going to pass it on to all of our siblings. And I thought that's a really good idea.
Are your grandkids involved, or are you involved in developing a family tree?
Yes.
Are you?
Oh, yes.
Because I would think that would be a helpful tool as well.
Exactly, because we're all a mixture.
Yeah.
I mean, I have grandkids who are half Japanese, and they're half Irish, and they're a quarter German, and it's the smorgasbord. Yes, and so we are doing that because we do want to pass it on. Because I don't think kids today understand where they came from lots of times.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I think an important part of it as well is to respect to know and respect other religions.
Exactly correct. Yes. Yes.
Particularly these days, because we're hearing about religions we've never heard of before.
Yes.
It's a big mystery. When there's a mystery, there's fear and anxiety, and when there's fear and anxiety, there's bound to be violence.
Yes. Yes. So I think the more that we can pass on, I think the happier our grandkids will be too. Because in today's society, we don't stay in one place long enough to really make consistent friends.
Yes.
And so this is a way to latch on when you go to another place, like my grandson.
Have you found you have daughters and grandsons?
Yes.
Have you found that one gender is easier to work with than the other?
No, they're all challenging. That's okay. I enjoy a challenge.
If people want to learn more about the Catholic Grandparent Association, there's a website, yes?
Absolutely, and it's chock full. And it's
It really is.
Yes, CatholicGrandparentsAssociation.org. Go on there, you'll get a history, you'll get the background of Catherine Wiley. Yeah, she is very persistent. She has been in Rome like 7 times before she got Benedict to write this prayer.
Is this the only organization of its kind, so far as you know?
As far as I know.
Catholic Grandparents Organization?
Yeah.
Because as you know, there are a number of other grandparents organizations.
Right.
100 websites or so for grandparents and boomers.
Right. I think this should be able, let me check and make sure what it says here.
But none of them are faith related, so far as I know.
Right. Yeah, so here it is, www.CatholicGrandparentsAssociation.org.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Look out about a year. Will the chapter be in place, in your opinion?
Yes.
It will.
Every grandparent I talk to says the same thing. Why aren't we working on this? And this is what we need. We need chapters so that we can discuss our problems. We may be able to bring people in to help us with our problems, because in today's society we have divorce is very common. Blended families are very common. All kinds of
you
problems.
touched on something else. When you wouldn't know this, but 100 years ago, I was the co-founder of a .com, igrandparents.com, for the 73 million grandparents in this country. And the number of emails we received from grandparents who are raising their grandchildren,
Yes.
6 million of them now in the U.S. and growing.
Yes.
And they were crying out for help. Help me. Somebody tell me what I'm supposed to do now, because what I did before isn't working.
Right.
And I think I read someplace that one of the reasons, one of the purposes, one of the goals of the association is to create that kind of community and be of help, particularly to grandparents who are raising their grandkids.
Exactly. Well, it's really interesting that you said that, because I had looked up what can you do to keep in touch with your grandkids, because like I have 2 who just graduated from college. One went to NYU, one went to George Washington, and I actually had to go to 2 graduations within 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty tough. I did it though anyway. But this is what I learned. You have to keep in touch with these people. You can't let them go, because
That means technology.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's
That
number 2, and this is my stumbling point. Learn new technology.
Yeah.
Tough. I don't tweet and I don't Twitter, and I have to learn how to do that, right?
I guess.
Yeah. You know that. Okay. And then talk to your grandkids about your parents, so they get a history of what it was like. I don't know. I'm 100% Irish, so both my parents came over from Ireland, and they were very good, very strong, tough.
Yes.
At the back of the hand.
Yeah. My mother had a shovel, the coal shovel.
The coal shovel. Right. There you go. There you go. Right. Then
It was a small coal shovel, but it was a coal shovel.
Then the other thing is tradition.
Yes.
You know,
that's what we're missing.
We are, and it's really sad.
It is.
Because I have a young girl, one of my grandkids who just drove me down here, and she wants to go back and see some of my grandmother's stuff. My grandmother's stuff,
Yes.
which I still have, because now they're into collecting stuff from the last century. And I said, okay, we'll have to go up in the attic and dig this stuff out. But yeah, tradition's important. And you have to be supportive, because it's tough. These kids go through a lot. They're very lonely. This is a lonely generation.
Yeah, it is. You're right. And you also, I don't know if it's on your list, but you have to somehow avoid being judgmental.
Right.
My kids and my grandkids accuse me of that all the time, and they're probably right half the time. But I do tend to be judgmental, because I'm measuring their behavior against my standards and what I learned and how I was taught.
Yeah.
And it's wrong for me to do that.
No. I mean, I know my kids will tell me, oh, Mom.
Yeah.
So we're not perfect. I mean, come on. You know, if we were perfect, we wouldn't be here. We'd be somewhere.
Speak for yourself,
All
Mary.
right, thank you. And the key is pray always. You know, and so like when my grandkids go away, I always give them a rosary, and I give them the list of the decades of the rosary, and I say, just do 1 decade a night. 1 decade a night. That's all I'm asking you to do.
Do you pay them? Have you tried that?
No, I don't pay them for praying, but I will not pay out their tuition. But
Well,
seriously, prayer is so important.
Yes.
And it's just, you know, it's not something you choose to do. It's something you should do.
Well, I think many of today's youth are spiritual, not necessarily religious.
Yes.
They don't subscribe to a particular institutional church, but they are spiritual, and therefore they're in search of something.
Yes.
At least that's been my experience. And not only with mine, but once again, I've been steeped in, since about 2000, in the baby boom generation and grandparenting, because of some business associations I've had. And the data is consistent. And grandparents want to be respected by their grandchildren.
Yes.
Show me some respect, because if only by virtue of the title I hold, I'm a grandparent.
Yes.
Anyway, it's a very interesting subject, and it'll become even more interesting as the next generation comes along. Grandparenting, I think, however, will never really change. No matter which generation, it won't change. Once again, the data show, and you know this, we're all concerned about the safety and security of our grandchildren. In some ways, that includes their religion, their spiritual life.
Yes, it does.
So that's not likely to change. Again, let's recap. On Saturday, August the 26th,
Yes.
starting at about 8:30
Yep.
at St. Charles Borromeo Seminary in Wynwood.
Yes.
There will be about 200 and some people convening on that site to participate in a day-long conference that'll conclude at about 4 o'clock with Mass, and therefore conclude the entire day at about 5:30. During the day, there will be presentations by the founder of the organization, Catherine Wiley, and 2 personas from EW, what is that, Catherine?
EWTN.
EWTN.
Yeah, Jim and joy,
Yep. And then a whole bunch of breakout groups after those presentations.
which should be good.
And you're going to be there
Oh yes, we
directing
are.
traffic and
We're,
doing
yeah,
whatever.
we are the hospitality group from St. Monica's.
Okay.
And yes, we will be there all day.
To register, how do folks do that? They do it online.
They do it online. It's very simple. You just go onto the phillycatholiclife.org, and that will bring you right into the event. And it's $35, and you can then print your ticket right online.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, or you can go on Eventbrite.
Oh yes, all right.
Eventbrite, Eventbrite, BRITE.com, and look up Catholic Grandparents Conference, and that will pull it up as well.
Oh, okay.
So you can pay online as well. Okay, anything else you'd like to leave with us today?
Well, I hope people will come because I think it'll be beneficial, and I think it'll also be a lot of fun because I think we can all share our own problems and how we're able to handle them. And it's always nice to have a supportive group that are your age. And there are fewer and fewer of us as we get older and older.
Well, you know the average age of first-time grandparents in this country now?
About 55?
No, it's 48.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Right.
Getting a little older, but it's 48.
Yeah.
And when I was looking at the program, I really kind of wish they had some humor in it. Maybe a comedian or somebody, a storyteller, could get up and talk about the funny experiences of grandparenting. Maybe next time they'll do that.
Well, and this might be included with Jim and Joy. I mean,
Are they funny people?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll look forward to that.
Yeah. No, I agree. Because sometimes
You got to laugh at yourself.
all the time.
Mary, it's been a delight. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here. Again, remember Saturday, August the 26th, down at St. Charles Borromeo, starting at 8:30 and going until about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Box lunch is included. Until next time, this is 30 Minutes. I am Rick Anthony. Take very good care of yourselves.